Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Star Stuff Podcast, where we talk all things Star Wars. My name is Colin,
And I'm Nate Ritchey.
and we are here on a new episode of Prop Pod, and we're here to talk about and this episode is called Kashyyyk the Closet, and we're basically just going to be talking about how to get into the world of building Chewbacca and Black Chrysanthemum or your own custom Wookiee type character.
Yep.
Nate, how about you introduce yourself and kind of tell us um your kind of origin story of how you got into everything.
All right. It's going to be interesting. So, yeah, I mean, I probably started making, I'm Nathan Ritchey. I started making Wookiee mask. I wanted to make a Chewie. This was probably 2021. And, I mean, not to say that any of the other masks out there are bad or anything. I think for Chewbacca, people see Chewie differently. And so I really didn't feel like any of them were Chewie to me. So I wanted to make my own. And I have no experience whatsoever at making things like that. And I started reaching out to other makers, which they all helped out, and watched a ton of YouTube videos on how to make molds and different things. And just started making it. I made a mask, and it didn't look anything like Chewie. And so that was my version 1. It was a total disaster. And so I completely remodeled it, and I used a 3D modeling, like 3D sculpting on that. And so I just printed it out on my printer, and then I sculpted clay on top of that. And that was the version 2. I think it's the one that you have.
Yes. Yep.
Version 2.
Yeah. I've got version 2.
I mean, after that, once I made the version 2, it just kind of blew up. And I was doing graphic design and product photography for a gun place. And the mask just started taking off. And so I just kind of was like, I could probably just do this, work in my shop. I had a little bitty shop at the time, like an 18 by 19 foot metal building. And here I am now, like 3 years later.
Yeah.
Making Wookiee masks and chrysanthemum, of course. But yeah, that's how I got going. It just kind of happened I made it for myself. People started wanting it, and it just kind of blew up after that.
So what was the of the actual moment that drew you into being like, hey, I am gonna learn how to do this? And I know that you said it was because of because you saw some other work and you're like, that doesn't seem Chewy to me.
Yeah.
Was there another moment when you were a kid of where you were just like, I love Chewy. Chewy is really cool. Like,
So I've always loved Chewbacca, and I think especially kids are drawn to him because he's like a puppy dog, sidekick.
yeah.
But I mean, for my entire life, I've loved Chewie. Honestly, I haven't been the biggest Star Wars fan all of my life. It probably wasn't until Rogue One when I just was like, dude, Star Wars is so awesome. Rogue One just kind of tipped me over the edge. Just because the costuming in Rogue One, as far as the opening scene with the Death Troopers.
Yes.
But Chewie, though, has always been there, and always been my favorite, just because of the simple reason that he's just so lovable, such a cool character. And Peter played him perfectly.
Yeah. He just looking back at some of the behind the scenes stuff, you can just see how passionate he was about that character. And I think recently there's been a video that's been popping up of where it's Peter, in the costume, but it's his actual voice saying the lines and instead of the actual noises. and
I
that would have
love
just
that.
yeah, I know, dude. That would have been so interesting to see on set. But yeah, yeah.
I think
And
for the moment for me though, to where I wanted to make a costume was so this was Halloween of like 2018.
okay,
Um, we were in a friend of mine's neighborhood and taking all the kids around, and this dude had a Ruby's Chewbacca costume. So, but at the time, I was like, "It's freaking Chewie!" Like
right, right.
it looked so cool to me. And so we all got pictures with him, and then that was like, man, I really want a Chewbacca costume. And that, it took a while before I actually started working on that. But like, we would always talk about it at work. Like, we'd look on Etsy or wherever and like look at Chewbacca costumes and like just say, man, I want to get a Chewbacca costume.
Yeah.
That was what kind of made me want to do the whole costume, was seeing somebody actually be that tall and like furry. I was like, oh, that's doable.
Yeah. Oh man, dude. For me, my actual journey of building Chewy started all the way back in like 20, I think like around 2019, and I reached out to a couple of people, and I wanted to do a I wanted to make a Chewy costume. I didn't know how to do it, and then I was reaching out to like different people to see where I should start, because at the time John Henry was
Yeah.
was our Chewy in Michigan, and then after that it was Lawrence, and he was doing it for a bit, and then I was interested, but no one at the time was like really doing any type of work like that. And there were a couple, but some of them were saying at the time that they only made one Chewy mask per state, and I didn't understand that.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, okay. And then it it kind of it kind of was like on the on the kind of shelf for a second.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm tired. But
Back
so
burner.
yes, yes. And then fast forward to when I was at Dragon Con, I think it was 2023.
Yeah.
I saw you walk by as Two Tubes, but at the time I didn't know it was you. And then I was talking with John Henry, Marcus Gow, and George, and I reached out to Marcus, and then him and I were talking, and then John as well, and they were like, "You should talk to Nate," and I was like, "Okay, okay," and then I, I talked to you. We, you know, I waited, and the mask came, and then I've never done anything with latch hooking, and your YouTube, all of it was so helpful. And then my friend Craig, uh, who
Yeah.
uh, who was a huge part of helping me learn how to do this, because him and I learned how to do this at the same time. And we'll talk about it in a bit, but we did. He was a big influence for helping me, and he definitely helped like actually create the feat. Like, he was the person
Yeah.
that actually made the feat, and then I was just there learning from him. But
That's
but
one of the
yeah,
hardest parts, honestly.
yes, and
It's hard.
because to me, if the feet and the mask don't look right, then the rest of the costume isn't going to.
Yeah.
And when I got your mask, it was like I was looking at like something straight out of the movie set. Like, that's how, guys, like, you don't understand, like that's how great his work is. Like, he put so much passion and sweat and tears, I guarantee you, into this work, because it looks like it's straight out of the movie. Like, that's me wearing it like in action, and it looks so good, and people love it, and it's so much fun to wear. And
Oh man, people
yeah,
go crazy.
Yes, and it just shows, like, if you truly care about something, you make time for it, and if you also really care about it, you will put the hard work in, and that's exactly what you did. That inspired me to like get my stuff done, and here we are today.
Yeah,
Talking
time
about it, but
flies.
yeah, man. So let's talk about if someone is interested in making an actual costume like from scratch, because there are people that will be like, hey, I would like to go out and buy a mask or buy a suit. How would
Yeah,
someone go to maybe start their own um
like
uh
completely everything.
yes, yeah,
So for the mask, you just have to. What I did was I built up like I looked at all the images that that I pictured Chewie, because there's so many different versions of Chewie. Like it's kind of like Vader. Like there's so many different Vaders. Well,
yeah,
Chewie, he looks different in every movie.
yeah.
So I took pictures that I envisioned Chewie to look like from the internet. It's Peter dressed up mostly, and um, I just went through and kind of like started. Like I said, when I first did it, I 3D modeled it or 3D sculpted it. So I took it and I put it in. I believe I used ZBrush, I think, for the
Okay.
first, and I used like a free trial or something because that software is pretty expensive. Um,
Oh,
and so I took that and then I just kind of like envisioned it without the hair. So really, the main part is you got to get your mask sculpt done first, because I mean, at least that's the way I saw it. Was if I couldn't do the mask, I wasn't even gonna do it. Honestly, I
right.
was just gonna buy a mask from somebody or something. Um, but yeah, the mask is definitely the hardest part to do. Um, but yeah, just sculpt it. Try to envision it without the hair, and then you have to make a mold of it. So you'll have to have a mold for your underskull, and you'll have to have a mold for your face skin, which is going to be
Okay.
silicone. So I have a mold, this like a junk mold. So after I make the first initial sculpt of what I want my mask to look like, without hair on it, obviously, I'll do a junk mold of it, and that's just you use like Rebound 25, like some silicone, and then you make a shell with some fiberglass, and then you take that off, and then you have to do another mold of the face part, just the face section. So like you say from like here down to the chin
Okay.
of just the face, and that's for your silicone. So you'll make a mold of just the face section, and then you'll let that cure, flip it over, and then you do a layer of like clay inside of that because it's a negative. I
Yeah.
have I have one right here I can show you.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I'll grab it.
Yeah. Do it. And not only does Nate do Chewy, he also does Black Chrysanthemum, and we'll definitely talk about that because that's like straight off the set. Like it's absolutely incredible. It's absolutely insane. But the other cool thing. All right, Nate, show it.
Yeah, so this is my mold for my the silicone face skin. It's an
Okay.
injection. It's an injection mold. So there's a little hole right here, and then there's like bleeder holes throughout it. So you can see that it's shaped kind of funny. Well, let me open it up. So this is the inside. So this is what would be inside of the silicone, where you're not going to see this part. This is the actual negative of the
Oh,
of
okay.
the mask. So when I
Nice.
inject it through that hole, it fills it up, and just the void area is silicone.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so that part right there fits inside of the junk mold because it's made on the same exact sculpt.
Okay.
And so it fits inside the junk mold, and then that's when you lay your fiberglass down for the underskull. and that is like this. So this is a fiberglass. This is actually a chrysanthemum version 2. And then this is a chewy face skin stuck together. And so that just sits on top of it.
Right. Oh man. It's wild.
Yeah.
So how different is the process of how you are making your masks compared to what they did for the films?
So I think they used not really sure what they used. I don't think they used silicone, obviously for the original trilogy. I think they used like some form of like, I don't know, like latex or foam latex or something like that. Because like if you see pictures of them, they're so degraded, like they're deteriorating. But silicone, like this type of silicone, which is like EcoFlex, this stuff, if you keep it in like a controlled environment, temperature wise, it'll last for who knows how long, like a long time. But I think the process is pretty similar. They probably did some things different, but I'm honestly not even really sure how they did all that. Stuart, who knows?
Yeah.
I think it's pretty similar though. Like as far as jaw mechanism and all that stuff, I think it's pretty close to the same.
So you have different versions. I've got the version 2, and one day I'll definitely upgrade to the version 3. But what's really cool about the version 3 is like you've actually got like the actual kind of lip snarl feature. Can you talk about that?
So on the version 3, I don't actually. It's still the same as the version 2, where it's just a metal.
Yeah.
But what I do is I put a piece of silicone or a piece of like tissue paper up in one side, which people always laugh when I tell them this because it makes a huge difference. I put a piece of paper or something up in the lip right here, and so one side goes up higher than the other. So it's it's really a simple thing. But whenever I have it displayed, I'll have a piece of paper or a piece of silicone up in the lip there.
Where it looks like, okay. Yep. Could you do that hypothetically with the version 2, or like did you build the version 3? Oh, okay. Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I actually have some in my version 2 that's on my mannequin. Yeah.
Okay.
Just a piece of tissue paper up in there.
No way. So and then when you move the jaw, it just kind of adds like that kind of
just barely a little bit of
That's so cool.
It's simple. Like it's simple and honestly, like I think that the lip snarl, whatever it is a little overrated. Like nobody ever really is gonna see it unless you're like right in their face, you know?
Yeah, but it's the attention to detail that makes it so cool. So, I mean, so of the people that really care about that stuff and you're talking to them and then you are, moving the jaw and stuff like that. Like for example, I take a lot of pride in the first time that I was actually suiting up in the public because my first time actually like wearing it for, like my debut was over at C2E2. And we got there a day early, and in the hotel room I just put on the stilts, I put on some of the costume, and I had like my sound glove and everything, and then I was just walking back and forth like of just practicing the movements, like making sure I memorized like all of the like actual like sounds so like every time I did the button, so I'd move and move the jaw, and that's the other cool thing is you can actually move the jaw in your masks. There are
Yeah.
some where you can't do that. So that's so cool of when like you like, you know, if you're just using your voice or if you're doing the sound glove and you do the classic like and like
Oh yeah.
you can actually like open the mouth of it, and it's so cool to do, and it just adds more to
People
the
freak out with
attention
that
to
too.
yeah, it's so cool. And I was at a May 4th troop, and I was just kind of walking by, and then like people just like, you know, just saw me like, whoa, cool. And then I actually like, you know, did the sounds with my sound glove, and I
Yeah.
moved the jaw, and people were like, whoa. And it's just that adds more like it
Oh yeah. It's
it's
great too when you have somebody
so good.
that will kind of create a conversation with you when you're in Chewy.
Yes.
I've got a buddy of mine, Corey, that he's like the best at doing this, but he'll have like a conversation between me, you know, Chewy, him. He's usually in his Jedi, and then like a kid or something. It's
Yeah.
just I love it. It's so fun.
Man, yeah. And so you've got Chewie who is this like, you know, he's, you know, kind and gentle but firm. But then you jump to
Yeah.
this guy. You've got Black Chrysanthemum.
Oh yeah.
What's the biggest difference for the process of making him compared to Chewie for Black Chrysanthemum?
There's really, I mean, besides I don't do a tongue palette for Chrysanthemum like I do for Chewy because Chrysanthemum's muzzle is a lot closer to the face. So if you
Okay.
put a tongue palette in there, it's just gonna be annoying, like because
Yeah.
it's like in your throat. But the only difference between the two is, you know, besides the obvious like shape and form, is just the hair colors. Chrysanthemum uses 3 colors. So I
Yep.
use like a black, I use a gunmetal, and then I use like a white silver.
Yep.
But Chewy, I use 4 colors. So just blending the hairs, and then Chrysanthemum has the beads. So I have to 3D print the beads on my Elegoo Jupiter. Yeah,
Yeah.
Chrysanthemum's got the beads. And then Chrysanthemum has the highlights. So like all the highlights, those are the white highlights or silver. Um, it's really about the same though, honestly. Like
Okay.
there's no difference.
How about the teeth?
Now the teeth. So I sculpted. So there's a picture on the internet of Chrysanthemum with his mouth open. He doesn't really open his mouth really wide like Chewy does. His mouth, usually when you see it open, it's just kind of like barely cocked open.
Yeah.
And his bottom teeth, he kind of has like an underbite, kind of like those ugly little dogs. I don't know what kind of dogs they are, but they always have like teeth that stick out on the bottom. And I just had to sculpt those out of clay. I put them inside of like a cup and then pour silicone on top of it. And then after it cures, I turn it over and I have like molds for teeth.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just pour the resin in there, and like 10 minutes later, you have a set of teeth.
It's so funny because of when like people do like see me while wearing Chewy, they like kind of lean forward and they're like, "That looks so real." Like, do you actually like brush his teeth and like all that stuff? Because it's like again, it is the attention to details. If
Yeah.
you put your hard work into it, people are going to notice. So
Yeah.
it's so cool when people make those comments.
And they want to feel it too. Like I always tell people they can touch it because
Yeah.
once they feel that silicone, they're like, "Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
it's so real."
Yes, yeah. People are always shocked by the nose. I
Oh
think
yeah.
that's the biggest one because of people see it, and I don't know why, but some people just think it's like 3D printed or like
Yeah.
resin or something, and they touch it and it's just like silicone. You're like, wait, what? And it's so good. So then we've got the mask now. let's jump into the world of
the
it's
suit and the feet.
yes, into latch hooking.
Yes,
Because there's two different ways. I think we're both very, very familiar with latch hooking. Have you tried the other way before?
I
Or no?
haven't. No, I
Oh,
I
okay.
stuck with the way that when I started
Yeah.
doing it, and I was like, that's good enough for me.
I think that I think latch hooking it's it is time consuming. It is
Yes.
very, very time consuming, but if you have the patience for it, it can get done. This was my first time ever doing anything like it.
Yeah.
And um Craig Hobbs and I learned like to do it at the same time. And then I cranked this. I got it done like
Yeah.
in 3 months. It was not consistent at first. Like, you know, I took a couple of weeks off, like just to like kind of get my mindset
Yeah.
in.
No,
But
you need it.
because
You have to.
yes, but then um there were nights where I would be latch hooking and I would like, and I know it's gonna sound crazy, but I would be sitting there for like 10 hours just
Yeah.
going
Oh
at
yeah.
it. And I'm so glad that I pushed through, because it is not for everyone. But
Yeah, it's very
uh
tedious. Like,
yes.
and it's just like you're just tying hair onto a mesh suit. Like, it's just
Yeah.
it. Honestly, like that's probably my least favorite. That's why I don't make suits. It's my least favorite part of it. I've gotten pretty fast at it. Like I can make a suit pretty fast, but
Yeah.
I just don't want to. I don't want to do it all the time.
No, I mean, and could you imagine if you were not just doing what you're doing now with the mask, but also the suits? Like,
Oh
you would
yeah.
have no time for anything.
No, I wouldn't have
Um,
any time.
right. So, and I'm very thankful to I mean, for you and I to like have become friends through this,
Oh yeah.
because if I didn't have your advice, I don't think I would be where I am now, because of I didn't know like how to blend. I didn't know any of it,
Yeah.
and you just helped me with the long run. And then I got my first customer. I did it. I got it done like in a couple of weeks, and then it was like, oh my
Fast.
gosh,
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's like, oh my gosh, I know how to do this. And it was like, I
Yeah.
actually like doing this. And my friends were just shocked. They were just like, what, how, huh? Because of I've got severe ADHD.
Yeah.
So it's like I'm not always focused, but for some
Well,
reason
that's the
when
same
I
with me though. Like,
yeah.
I mean, making this stuff is you have to have a lot of patience, and I'm not a very patient person. But for some reason, I think it's because we enjoy what we do and like we like
Yes.
making this stuff, so we make ourselves calm down to do it. Like, because usually I'm like changing from one thing to the next and like like that. But whenever
Yeah.
I'm doing this stuff, I'm focused on this Wookiee making stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I same here. I'll have like some Star Wars or TV show in the background, and then
Yeah,
I'm just locked in, and you kind of lose yourself like while doing it, and then before you know it, you're done. And then
yeah,
I've been like timing myself with these past couple commissions, because every time I get done with one, it was like I can do a lot better with the timing. I know I can, and and it's just nice to have that goal.
yeah.
But with doing Chewy, the biggest difference between Chewy and Black Sand is not just the colors, but with the placement. Because with the gray on
Oh
Chewy,
yeah.
you have to do this certain pattern right. Not saying that
Mhm.
you don't have to do it on Black Sand, because you do for like the thighs and the knee,
Yeah.
but like for Chewy, it all has to line up. What advice would you give to someone for like getting that perfect alignment? Because some people will do it, they'll mess up that first time, and then they'll have to backtrack.
Yeah.
So,
So what I did
um,
was on the Wookiee Builders. I think it's saved in like photos or albums or something like that on the Wookiee Builders Facebook page. There's a picture of Chewie, the different versions of Chewie and like what his suit looks like, or the patterns. And so what I did is I took a shoestring and I ran it through where I needed the gray to be and just kind of blocked it out and then tried it on with my stilts and everything so that I could see how far it would come down. And then once you have it like with that shoestring going through there, then you know exactly where you need to stop, or you need to switch over to like gray or blonde, not blonde, but brown. But you do have to remember that, you know, if you're latch hooking, the hairs are usually 16 inches long, you know, and then you fold them in half so they're 8 inches long. So you got to account for 8 inches of hang down. And once you figure all that out, like, and lining it up with the shoestring, I like the shoestring technique, or like you can use whiteout too if you wanted to. But the shoestring is just, you just pull it out when you're done. So I like that because you can try it on and like see where it's going to be on your legs or your body, because he has that, you know, it's gray on the shoulders and comes down. I actually, after I finished my suit, I went back and cut some of the hair off because I had brown coming up on my like love handle area. And I wanted it to have some of that gray come up so that it kind of like blended in with the side. So it's not just straight brown. So I have gray that comes up a little bit on my side.
Sure. Okay. I was talking to Paul Fisher because he was he's doing that for his too, like, so of how on the pants, like kind of going down on the thighs, you like have the gray. Well, he's having it to where on his shirt it's like kind of like on the on like the bottom of the shirt in the way, if that makes sense. And I haven't seen that many people do that.
Yeah, that's what I did.
Yeah, so cool. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, so say like the bottom of my shirt right here, it's brown, and then until it gets to right here, and then I did some gray.
Nice.
Like right up there.
Right. So it all blends in together. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. So the other thing is, if you're, because of you said you would do the shoelace process, right? So you would, like, and end up doing it and then trying it on. How would you do that if you were making it for someone else?
If you're making it for someone else, it's still going to be like your legs and stuff are still going to be in the same, somewhat the same area. I mean, when you have stilts on. So I would just say you might have to get them to measure down how far they want their gray to go on their leg, and then just go off of those measurements.
Because I normally put it on a mannequin and then I go from there, because of like I can do it myself, but I feel like if I'm actually like looking directly at it and like I've got it on something, it's a lot easier for me to do. So
and the majority of people are around like, well, unless they're extremely short or extremely tall, like they're usually going to be around 6 feet tall. So like you could use like a 6-foot mannequin and be fine, like get away with figuring out how far to take the gray down. Yeah. Unless it's like George or Marcus.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah, I know. And they're like, their stuff is great because they don't have to wear lifts. Like,
I know.
Like, they just put the costume on and then they're just, walking around, and it's absolutely awesome. But
those guys are awesome.
Oh man, yeah, they're fantastic. So, a big question that I get, and you probably do too, is what is the best way to do the feet? Because if your feet don't look right, and I'm going to show this picture, and this is a big shout out to Craig, and I know Craig is working on different version of this where it is going to hide the shape more. But with this, if you see in the before shot, you've got that boot shape, but then he called it like the foot deletion device, and it hides that shape so well. And this is very similar. Yes. And this is similar to what Adam Savage did. Do you think that going this route with the lifts is maybe slightly better than doing what people do with the they're called buckets? So some people do that. Which way do you think is more efficient?
I have some buckets. These right here, I'll get them. They're right by me.
Okay.
So I have these, and I have yoga blocks, which is similar to the way that y'all did yours. It's just with yoga blocks instead of foam.
Okay.
And I have like sheetrock stilts. So the ones that I use the most are probably the stilts, just because I'm 5'10", so I have to have quite a bit of a lift, and I just feel more stable. Like I can kind of like, because I'm strapped into those, I can kind of like, this kind of sounds weird, but like when I'm standing, I can kind of lean back. It's almost like I'm sitting, because like all my weight is off of my toes.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I still struggle with the legs, like with the feet. Like I'm still not satisfied with it. And I'm probably, if I ever have time, I'm going to make my own set of stilts that I want them to be narrow, like Chewie's legs actually are, in the movies. And it's just hard to do if you're not that tall. Like,
yeah.
And it drives me crazy because I know that people get hung up on accuracy and all this and that, and but that aspect of it, like, it just drives me nuts because I don't want my legs to be tree trunks,
Yeah. And I think what of this way is good. It's just like it is a lot to put on because you like are tying up the snow border boots up and you're tying that tight as possible, so like your ankle isn't like giving away or anything like that. And then with the toes, they are resin printed, and Craig's update is definitely gonna make it a lot lighter. So because the ones that I currently have do have a lot of weight to it of when you're walking, but the way that he's gonna do it, I don't want to give it fully a weight yet because I think Craig and I are gonna do a video with it most likely. Nice. It will be lighter, it'll be more efficient, and it will definitely be a game changer.
Like mainly the toes, or is it the entire foot section?
Just the entire like process. Because from what he was making it sound, and I can't speak for Craig because he could go into it fully, but it is going to be very similar, but in a way where you will see a big difference.
Nice.
Yes. And I think it will hide that boot shape even more than what we're doing now.
That's good.
Yeah. But yeah, no, Craig Hobbs is a genius. And I didn't know how to do any of it. And I just remember he's like, well, let's go to Home Depot and get started. And we went there and we were just looking at stuff, grabbing things. And it was awesome.
So for a while there, I was talking to, and I was trying to solve, I've been trying to solve this foot problem or this like leg proportion problem since I started doing this. And I was talking to a friend of mine that he knows somebody who works in prosthetics. And so we were going to make like an actual prosthetic that goes over your foot, like instead of, going over
Whoa.
like somebody who, had their leg amputated or whatever, it would go over your actual foot and just extend your foot out, like extend your leg out. And I don't have the capacity to do that. I don't know how to do that. I'm sure I could probably figure it out, like if I had a lot of time, but I just don't have the time. But I'm going to make some stilts just out of like metal, just like flat bar. And I'm just going to make my foot more at an angle. So like my foot's going to like point down with my toes, kind of like your tippy toes. And that way it'll narrow. So where my foot is, that's where my calf will be on my Wookiee. And so I just got to have some time to actually make a prototype.
The because I think we actually talked about doing that originally, because like of where my foot would be at a slant.
Yeah.
Not exactly what you were doing, but we were talking about how my foot would be at a slant to kind of hide more of that boot shape.
Yep.
And I don't think we had like the actual like foam like type device in our mind yet to hide it, but that is a really, really good idea. Like, I mean, because again, the only way to get that perfect like foot shape is if you're the actual height. There's like no other way to actually do it. So
you just got to figure out the best way to hide it. Honestly, it's like, and I hit it pretty good on my chrysanthemum. Like, so what I did on his is I took sheetrock stilts and I took just that foam that you fill in the cracks with, and I just sprayed it all in there, and then I carved it. So I carved like carved like how it gets narrower around the ankle and then comes out where the foot is or the heel. And then it gets thicker when it comes up to where the shoe goes, which would be the calf area. And those look better than any of the other ones that I've done, but they're still just so wide, especially right where your foot is, where your actual foot is. It's just so wide. And so eventually I'll hopefully figure that out, but
I feel like there's always room for improvement for doing this because of the other thing that I think that you would probably get a lot like of this question is like, what's the best way to keep that mask like shape like of to keep it maintained, because people are coming up and giving you a hug as Chewy. You're like walking around in different types of weather and like and I've talked to you about this and you've given me so many incredible tips about it, but what from again, guys, Nate has a YouTube video out there that explains all of this, and he actually showed you how to do it. It's fantastic. But if you could say it like in a summary, what would be the best way to like maintain that like of the actual mask shape and just keep it in style?
Yeah, so the main thing and really this goes for just about all of the masks like that I've seen. The main thing is, and I do this on all my masks, like the hair is, what's up? The hair is really short on the cheeks. I keep it like, I'm talking whenever the hair gets to about right here, it's like an inch long. And I keep that part as flat as possible because you want his face, especially right here, to be narrow. If you look at all the pictures of him, like in, Empire Strikes Back or A New Hope, you can clearly see like a face, like it's pressed down. So what I do is whenever I first style them and before I ship them to everybody, I put on some nitrile gloves and I will spritz it with hairspray and I'll hold that part down to where it stays flat to the skin, the silicone, and then I apply a little bit of heat so that it stays. But to keep it that way, for the long term, is you bobby pin it. So like right where my hand ends, I'll put a bobby pin like right there at the end of where I want it to stay down. and that's the same over his brow. So his brow on my sculpt, he has a definite brow, like a ridge over his brow. So I'll put my hands over top of that, and I'll spritz it with hairspray and dry it with a blow dryer, and then I clip it, or not clip it, but I pin it with the bobby pins right above that so that it stays right there.
Yeah.
The bobby pins is like that's the number one thing if you want to keep your mask, straight and nice.
Yep.
It's the bobby pins.
The
hairspray works, and I just wouldn't overuse it because you'll have to like wash your mask.
Yes.
But if you use hairspray that will reactivate with water, I'll spritz mine with water every once in a while and just kind of like restyle it like real quickly, and then it's like back to normal. Like,
yeah,
it's definitely part of like you have to learn to style if you're gonna be a Chewbacca and wear the costume, because you can't just take it out of the box or the tote and put it on and take it off and put it back on.
No. Like, dude, you are absolutely right. Like, I will get to troops. I'll have like my hairspray bottle. I'll have like my water. Like,
you're a stylist too.
Yes. And people are like, why are you what? And I'm just like, just trust the process. Just see it when I'm done. And they're like, oh, and I'm like, yeah. And for a while, the chin was bothering me because of like, I didn't know about the bobby pin, process. And again, this is why it's so important to do your research. So I didn't know that. So after every troop, it would just be like this. And then I would have to like, spray it and wash it. Yep. But ever since I learned about that, no joke, if you see pictures of me wearing it now, like it looks so natural. And don't have it tucked in right here. Have it to where it's like right here, because it's going to give it more of that natural look.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like it is a game changer when you are restyling your hair, because of, as we said in the beginning, there's different styles of Chewie. And because if you look at the Empire Strikes Back and New Hope, they are very similar. But then if you jump to Return of the Jedi, he's more kind of cut loose. He's got like that kind of flappy hair in front and
flaps over. And he's kind of like,
Yes, and you jump to Solo and the sequels, and there's so many different ways to do it, and it's just kind of restyling and doing your research, and again, go and watch Nate's YouTube video about restyling, because it is like the perfect thing to watch if you really want to know how to learn and how to do this. And not only does he talk about it, he actually shows you how to do it. So that's why I'm pointing people towards this video, because of us talking about it is one thing, but seeing it in action is a whole other thing. So go and check that out on his YouTube channel.
I don't remember. Do I do bobby pins? I don't think
I think you do.
Do I?
Well, you know what? I don't think you did, and I think that's why I didn't for the longest time. Because I know about it. Yeah, until you told me. Yeah, but yeah, no, it's
basically the same. It's basically the same thing, but like once you get it's flattened down, like on the cheeks and over the brow and under the chin. Then you just put a bobby pin at the end, like whenever the hair you want the hair to start flowing, you put the bobby pin right there. So you'd have it on the cheeks, like right here. You have it under the chin, like right here. I probably have like 8 bobby pins on my mask. It's like 2 under here, 2 right here, 2 over the brow, and then I have some on the top of my head, because I don't like it when the hair flaps over. If I get like a gust of wind, it's just honestly, it's just kind of like figuring out how you want it to be. But I always style it initially before I send them out. But I mean, then again, it's getting put in a box, and like FedEx could be doing whatever to it.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna
You hear
say
that?
yeah, I do.
Great.
Oh,
That's gonna be great for the audio.
is that hail?
That is just big fat raindrops.
Dang. Okay. All right. Um, it's okay. We're near the end anyway, so.
Yeah,
Um,
I'll just get closer to the mic.
yeah. So the other thing is people ask, how do you get that kind of natural curl look to when you're actually because of there's a different chewy tops and pants where like it's got the hair on it but it's not curly, and
Yeah,
and for the most part chewy has that kind of natural kind of curl look.
yeah.
How do you get that in the suit?
So on my suit, I curled the entire thing with a curling wand.
Okay.
So it's just steal a curling wand from your wife, your girlfriend. And it's real simple. I mean, you just got to make sure, because this is synthetic hair, you just got to make sure that you're on the lowest possible setting. I think
Yes.
mine goes to like 166, and so I think it's 166. That is hell too.
Yeah, wow.
166, and then you just, you go through and curl it like you're curling your girlfriend's hair or something. And that's what I did to mine. But I did it once, and then after I did that, uh, now I just kind of like, after I'm all sweaty in my suit, I bundle it up in a ball and put it in my tote. And then once I pull it out, it's already raggedy looking. So
Right.
I don't
Yeah.
I don't like a perfectly groomed Wookiees. Like, I like it to have a little bit of, you
Yeah.
know
Because
messiness
of
to it.
you wanted to have that natural look to it. So
Yeah,
if you brush it afterwards, it's just gonna look like, Chewie was out with Han going on an adventure, and then he
yeah,
just had a spa day and then came back and he's just all like, you don't want that. It's
yeah.
not canon. But yeah. Yeah. So yeah, no, yeah. And then for the other big questions too, like, you can have the costume, the mask and everything and the feet, but you know going out and figuring out the right props is also important. So having your bowcaster, having your bandolier, having your
Yeah.
armor and stuff for a black chrysanthemum. um who in what direction would you point people towards for those types of props?
So if you're going to want to make like your own,
Yeah.
then you either need to get, gosh,
It just keeps getting louder.
it's
Don't
like
worry,
really
guys. We'll
coming
wrap up
down.
here. Yeah.
You want to either have access to a 3D printer, or you can probably have somebody print it, like a print farm. Um, all of my armor on Chrysanthemum is 3D printed, but I also have 6 3D printers, so it's like
Dude, I didn't know you had 6. Dang.
I have 5 FDM and 2 resin printers.
Wow. Dang,
But
bro.
if you 3D print them, like, I think it's better that way because they're so light. Like,
Yeah.
you could get them resin cast from some people, I'm sure, but I don't know of anybody who does the like Chrysanthemum armor like resin cast. I can't think of
Yeah.
anybody.
I wouldn't think that you would want that anyways, just because you're adding more weight to it as
Yeah,
well. So I think having it, 3D printed like in Pet G or some of the newer stuff that people are doing, I think that's the best way to go because you have to think you are adding the head, and then you're adding like this you are adding like the hair and everything to it, and then you're adding, if you're not that tall like Marcus and
yeah,
George, you are adding more weight to your feet. So
yeah.
if you're wearing this heavy stuff, like it's just gonna add on if you're wearing
Yeah.
the armor and it's resin printed or
And
anything.
so on my
Oh,
Chrysanthemum, I actually used football pads that I found
yeah.
at Goodwill, and I took the plastic hard shell off of it and just used the actual pads. Yeah.
Yeah.
So all the white plastic I took off, and I mounted some buckles to the shoulder bells.
Okay.
I mounted buckles onto those, and so there's a hole in my chrysanthemum top, my fur top, and I just have a buckle that I stick out of that, and I fasten it to my chrysanthemum armor. So it holds
Nice.
all of the weight. It holds all of the weight from the stuff that's on my top.
Yeah.
Which
Dang.
is kind of nice.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. That's super cool. Yeah. Black chrysanthemum.
It's so loud. I'm sorry,
dude. I didn't know that you lived on the planet Camino, dude. That's crazy.
I mean, there's like a horrible rain going on right now.
Yeah. It's okay. We're about to wrap here soon, but so we've talked about the prop aspect and all that. Let's talk about real quick of how important it is to kind of prep before you put the costume on, because of if you're trooping out in the heat, you want to drink a bunch of water beforehand, and you want to eat something because that's going to stay in your system for a couple of hours. And then adding padding to in the inside of your mask is also important, because if you just wear it like normal, that's putting a lot of pressure on your head if you're not wearing like the right headgear and stuff like that. So is there any advice that you would give anyone like in that aspect for like wearing it?
For the padding, I always use like EVA foam. So I'll use EVA foam first to get the initial padding in there, and then I'll line it with like a softer foam and felt. That's one people always ask me, like, why don't you put padding in your helmets? And I'm like, it would be impossible to like pad a helmet for, like, I couldn't pad a helmet for you because your head is, who knows how shaped your head is. Like,
right. Yeah. So like, yeah,
you got to get it. You want to get it tight enough to where it doesn't float. Like, so what I mean by that is, like, when you open your mouth in your mask, your eyes don't like go up into the forehead of the mask.
Right.
So you want it to be tight up here and tight under your chin so that you can activate the mouth.
So I put some padding.
Balance.
Yes, because I put some padding on the chin as well as the head. So when I bend down, like when I put on it, the actual like padding is right there, and it matches my jaw when I'm doing it. So that way I'm not kind of leaning down when I talk. It's all natural when I move. So yeah, that was a big thing I like heard from people with not your mask, but other people who do masks, is like they just wear it and they don't wear the padding, and I'm like, that's a lot of pressure that you're putting on, because those having that much weight on your head for like maybe an hour, it's cool, it's great, but if some people like to push it and wear it for more time than that, and adding that pressure on your head can hurt. So just add that padding, man. Like it helps out a lot.
You definitely want to like experiment with padding, and don't be afraid to, like, you're not gonna mess the mask up. Like, I've thrown mine in the tote, and it's not gonna mess it up. So people are just afraid they're gonna mess the hair up or something. But that hair, that's even the hair that's punched into the skin, unless you go up to it and like pull it, with a good amount of energy, it's not going to come out.
Yeah.
And as far as the suit goes, and like being prepared for a troop, you want to, that's balance also. Like, you want to eat like a snack. You don't want to eat too much to where you got to go, and you don't, and you don't want to drink too much water, because you don't want to have to go stumbling into the bathroom, peeking over at somebody in the stall next to you when you're 7'5". But yeah, it's just kind of a balance. You're gonna sweat. You're gonna sweat out a lot of water when you
Yep.
have one of these suits on, especially if you're at an indoor con. People always ask me about that too. They're like, um, "Is it hotter like outside or inside?" And I'm like, "Definitely inside if there's
Yeah.
no airflow." Um, but if you're outside, you at least get a little bit of a breeze through that mesh. Um, and also, if you get a little bitty fan, next to wherever you're standing and taking photos with people, that helps tremendously. Like just having a
Yes.
little tiny fan to blow some cool air on you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I've seen someone have like a cooling suit where they put it on and then they put the suit
Yeah,
on and stuff like that. There is different methods to do it. Just staying hydrated is one of the most important things. So like
yeah,
something cool about your version 2, I don't know about the version 3, but for the version 2, you actually do have the the two holes in the mouth. Um at some troops, I've had friends that like I've got a straw and we put it through there when I'm wearing the mask, and then I just drink through the mask. So yeah. But yeah, no, it's like just kind of training yourself and practicing, wearing the costume and stuff
yeah,
like before you wear it in public. I think that goes a long way too. And not only does that help you get comfortable with it, but it also is a good opportunity for you to practice the movements and stuff like that. We didn't really get into like the sound, like into the sounds and stuff like that. Some people like to, just go the route where they do the voices with their own voice.
yeah.
And then you have a sound glove that people do with I got mine from Hyperspace Props, and it sounds great. It's really cool to have the sounds to like,
Yeah.
when I press it in a match,
Mine's
it's cool.
Mycom, but I don't think that he's in business anymore. Uh,
Oh, okay.
Mycom. A lot of people he was like the go-to guy for Vader and a whole bunch
Oh,
of different costumes, but I think that he shut down like
okay.
a year or so ago.
Wow. Yeah. Hyperspace Props is like for me what was the thing where like I like heard from different people. I know some people use them for Boba Fett and stuff like that, and
Yeah,
then they had a Chewy option, and
I've heard of
it's got
him.
like 12 sounds on there. Yeah, it's good. I really enjoy like the stuff that they got. Um, but yeah. And then you know, not only are we talking about this stuff, but Nate and I, both do, we actually do commissions. Like Nate actually, sells these masks. I actually make the suits and like of the shirt and pants. And Nate has been a great he's been a great partner in that aspect. If I have any questions, anything, he's there. And then he sends people my way, I send people his way. But
Yeah,
yeah, it's and the other great thing too is that I'm making my suits to match, your stuff. So, you
yeah.
know,
That's like the
that's the
number
great
one
thing.
question. People are
Yeah.
like, can he match it to your mask? And I'm like, yeah, yeah. It's super
Yes.
easy. Like I just give them the hair,
Yeah.
and
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. So because of that's the question I get the most is like, can you match it? And it was like, I just can. I do like that
yeah,
the like we coordinate in that way, and I learned from Nate to do it that specific way. So
yeah,
but yeah. And then if someone is to, you know, this can be the last question, but if someone is to, get into this, there's a bunch of different ways to get the hair. What would you say would be the number one place to maybe go and buy the hair? Because of,
to buy the
I
hair.
get yeah.
So a lot of, I mean, I don't buy it off of, is it Timu or Alibaba or whatever that is. A lot of
Um
people get them from there. Like,
yeah, because of
hair,
I used to get mine off of I Kick Shins, but then I think they went out of
yeah, they
business.
shut
But
down.
but
Um,
It's on
I
Amazon.
use Rastafari brand.
Yep, same.
And so, really, I get it from random places. Sometimes I'll get them from Walmart.com. Sometimes I'll get them from like United Beauty Supply. Sometimes I'll just get them off of Amazon because sometimes they'll have like a double pack of the jumbo braids.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you just Google like that brand, Rastafari or whatever,
Yep.
You'll find places. But United Beauty Supply seems to be stocked up pretty good most of the time.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I've bought 400.
Yeah. Oh, I think we might have lost Nate. Yeah, I think we lost Nate. He was in a storm. But I'm gonna message him and see if he knows that. The other great thing too is if you are interested in doing this kind of work and you want to learn more about from different people as well, go and check out the Wookiee Builders Facebook group. Nate's gonna try and reconnect, but yeah. We have some people in the live stream. Is there any questions that you guys have? Shoot them. But yeah. There's some cons coming up. I will definitely be over at Rebel Scum Con here in Texas. I'll be there with the podcast, and then I'll be bringing Chewy there, and then we'll also be there for San Diego Comic Con. I will be bringing Chewy for that. It's my first time going to San Diego, so I'm pretty excited. Alfred Lim says cooling vest is great for a while, but mine turned into a heat vest after the frozen gels are gone. Yeah. I've never done the cooling vest before. I keep hearing about it, but it's just it seems like that's something that you would have to kind of reinstall each time and invest into a new one. Let me pull up. So this is Nate's this is where you can find Nate on Instagram. You can also find him on Facebook over at the Bookshop. Nathan Ritchey as well. But yeah. And then you can find me at Blue Harvest, Blue and then Harvest, but no E in Harvest on Instagram. And then Colin Weaver, send me a message if you guys are interested in any suits or anything. Or I think he's back.
Yeah.
Hey, he's back.
Oh man, it's like haziness. Like everything just went off. I was in the dark in here in the wood shop, and like this is not a place to be whenever it gets pitch black either, because you can't see anything.
Oh shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just telling the live audience of where they could find you and stuff like that. And then I just got this.
There's Brent.
Yep. He is asking, I think he's maybe talking to me or you. Are you bringing your Chewy to Mosh Isley during Comic-Con? Maybe. Yeah. But yeah, you'll have to. I'll just leave it at you'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I shared your Instagram and all that stuff.
Awesome.
We've got a couple of questions, but yeah. Is there anything that you want to leave the audience with? about getting into this line of work?
Yeah. So people always ask, like, and I just tell them, don't be afraid to like try stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, don't be afraid to mess up. I've messed up so many times, like making this stuff that like you don't see all that. I've showed some of it, on YouTube and on Instagram, like when I mess up, but I've probably messed up like 100 times more than what you see. Like, and that's the thing is like I think people are afraid that they're gonna like mess up or not do good, and have something that doesn't look great, but then you just redo it and make it better. Like that's how you grow. So that's my
Yeah.
biggest thing. It's like don't be afraid to try it, and don't be afraid to mess up. I mean, the vein that I sculpted, I've never sculpted a full mask in my entire life, and I just said I'm gonna do it, and because I like the way that character looked, and it turned out pretty good. At least I think it did. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, I keep hearing people being very hype about it. I am very hype about the Hondo for personal reasons because I worked at Galaxy's Edge and I saw Hondo every
Yeah,
day, so that's why I'm excited for Hondo. But yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So yeah, no, dude, like all of your work is fantastic. Your like passion is into it. It's just absolutely incredible. If you guys do want to get a Black Chrysanthemum or Chewy mask, go and reach out to Nate for more details on that. You are currently at the end of a current run that you're doing, right?
yeah. So, excuse me. I should be finishing up a chrysanthemum run, like shipping them out, like probably this next week.
Okay.
And then I already have the face skins for my next Chewy run. I already have those cast, so I'm going to start those probably next week as well. It usually takes me about a month, but it's been taking me longer because I just have a whole bunch of stuff going on, like family stuff and other stuff. And I've had some other projects that maybe we can talk about in the future,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
just can't right now.
Yep.
But yeah, so just reach out to me. I have my waiting list. I actually added like 3 people to my list the last 2 days. So it was getting lower, and then now it's just kind of fluctuates. Like it's crazy. It's pretty
Yeah.
low though right now, so the waiting list is not that bad right now.
Yeah. I'm still processing that I have a wait list because I have a wait list now of 7 people. And it was
It's kind of nerve wracking, isn't it?
Yeah,
First?
I was like, oh, okay. I was like, this is totally new. And then
Yeah.
I was like, oh shoot, I need to get organized, like because of I've never had a wait list before. So it's at the end of the day, you will, like Nate said, you will make mistakes, but the whole point of making them is to learn from them.
Yeah.
And it, helps you be better as a creator. It helps you be better as a person. So honestly, like, go and dive into it. And, if you don't know everything, that's okay. Doing your research, asking the right questions, that is what this is about. And if you want more input, you can always go to the Wookiee Builders Facebook page.
Yeah.
Everyone's so great at answering questions like
Yeah.
right away.
Everybody's
And
super nice.
yeah, so go and check that out. But yeah, I think that's it. I know that Nate has to go meet with Obi-Wan on Camino. He's got stuff going on over there.
I'm gonna have to like get a canoe to get back to my house or something.
But yeah, with that being said, thank you to all that are listening. And this episode will be dropping soon on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. My name is Colin, for myself and Nate. Thank you so much for listening. May the force be with you always.